Hello, hello, hello. We are back. We are back. We are back like I never left. All right, welcome in, welcome in. Let's tap the screen, share the live, get this out on the FYP. Hello, Brent. Hello, hello. Let me get myself together. Send your daily heart me's if you haven't already. Share this with a friend. We will be talking about Maryland, so if you know any Maryland people, share it with them. Let them know we are having this discussion, this town hall, where they can get their questions answered. And I'm back. Okay. All right, all right. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Welcome to Our Vote Counts, OVC. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. It is Wednesday. We just got finished one town hall. We're back at it with another one. Our Vote Counts is getting the people informed. They're letting them know what's going on. They're letting you talk to the people that are running in your area, in your district, in your state, local, federal, all of it, all of it. We are informing the people, letting them know what they need. Thank you. Welcome in. Let me send my daily heart me. Send your daily heart me's. Go ahead and share it out. Go ahead and repost it. Do all of the things so we can get people in here to let them know about Brent, what he's running for, what he stands for. See if you like his policies, and if you do, how can you support him as he runs for Maryland District 31 State Senate. Melanie, welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back. It's such a pleasure. Let me get my.
Feel like we never left.
I know. Biggest break ever.
I know. We will bring up Brent, we will bring you up in one moment. We're just trying to make sure we get the people in here so they can hear all of your good policies and what you're running on so they can support.
While we bring Mr. Brent up, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about him. Brent Mulrooney, if I hope I said that right, is a dedicated public servant, community advocate, and candidate for Maryland State Senate, District 31. He is running to represent the people of North Anne Arundel County in Annapolis, focusing on strengthening his community and advancing policies that support everyday Marylanders. As a member of the Democratic Party, Brent is actively engaged in local political events and community outreach. Recent campaign activities and social posts highlight his involvement with regional Democratic groups and neighborhood events, demonstrating a grassroots approach to building support and connecting with voters. So welcome to the stage, Brent. And
thank you.
Just help me with the last name just so I make sure I said it right.
Mulrooney.
Mulrooney. Okay, I did. Mulrooney.
Yes.
Yes. Again, he is running for a state seat, y'all. This is not the capital. It's close. It's close by. But it's not in the Congress. It is for our Maryland Congress, which is in Annapolis. And this is my home. I am not in Anne Arundel. I live in PG County.
Okay.
But and Miss Blessings here was born and raised in DC, but she also has family who is currently in PG County too. So
awesome.
Yeah, so you got some local people here.
Perfect.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about us, Brent, and everyone else. Make sure y'all are tapping that screen. Y'all sharing out this live to at least 5 people, especially if you know they are from Maryland or at least the Anne Arundel area. And but even if they're in Maryland, because he will be in our state capital making our state laws. So it's important that we know what he's all about. But Our Vote Counts is a nonpartisan coalition of citizens from diverse states and backgrounds, united by a shared commitment to empowering voters and promoting candidates who stand for integrity, inclusion, and accountability in the upcoming elections. Formed by a collective of educators, veterans, small business owners, students, and community advocates, our vote count represents the strength of unity across geography, race, and ideology. While our stories are different, our mission is the same: to ensure that every voice is heard and every vote truly counts. Through voter education, candidate outreach, and community engagement, we support leaders who are ready to serve the people, not special interests. By working across state lines and elevating local and national issues, we aim to increase voter turnout, inform public dialogue, and build momentum for lasting change. Our vote count is more than just a name, it's a promise, it's a movement, and a rallying cry for democracy. Together, we are shaping the future, one informed vote at a time. So, again, thank you all for being here. Mr. Brett, please let everyone know why you chose to run for a state seat at this time.
Yeah, so, well, first off, I just want to say, thank you guys for putting this on. And after hearing that, I completely agree with you guys. There's a little bit about me. Like in the past, I had no intention of ever running for office. But something I did do to support democracy is I've been a poll worker for about 12 years in different states, actually, too. So I believe in what you guys are saying. Everyone should go vote, even those the people who disagree with what I believe in, right? I think they should go vote as well. They'll have their voice heard. But most importantly, I think the message that you guys are trying to push is just, go vote, and because your voice matters regardless of how small it is. Because we can look at a bug's life, right, where maybe one ant isn't going to hurt you, but the colony will, right? So I think that's kind of the same way with voting, and I think that's why everyone needs to vote instead of this like 40% turnout that we have in our nation right now. So I really respect what you guys are doing. To answer your question, though, that's really the question I get first all the time. Is when I first went to my local Democratic clubs, they're like, "Hey, how's it going? Why are you here? Basically, what do you want to do?" And I was like, "Well, I want to run for office, and I'll run for any office, whether that's a Democrat seat or Republican seat. I wanted to run against a Republican. I probably was just going to support the Democrats if I was in a Democratic district, but turns out I'm in a very red district. All four seats in representing our state in my district are all Republicans currently, and MAGA actually, more than a Republican. So the question that you guys asked, I think you need some background about me. So you kind of mentioned it. I've served in the military. I've worked in national security my whole life. And, I've been defending Americans and America, my whole life because it's what I believe in. I believe in what America stands for, or what I thought it stands for. So I want to create a situation where our elected officials are representing Americans for what American values should be. Things like respect for all people, right? I think that's pretty straightforward. Everyone should believe in that. Things like honesty. We currently have an administration that's basically allergic to facts. It's crazy. And so things like that caused me to run. And most importantly, I think we need our representatives to have the utmost integrity and with the utmost scrutiny. We shouldn't be shutting down protests. We should be embracing them. Because if as an elected official, well, hopefully, if I'm doing something wrong, I want to know. I need those voices out there to tell me what I'm doing wrong. And hopefully I can fix those, any problems or any, ideas that I may have that isn't properly representing the people. I mean, I'd like to think that I'll put the people first and I'll do what's right always, but maybe I might make a mistake here or there. I'm only human, right? And so that's basically why I'm running. And I think it really goes back to FDR during his inaugural address had a quote, something along the lines of like, restoration calls, however, not just change in ethics alone, but the nation is asking for action and action now. And that kind of resonates with me. And I'm here to be that action and provide that moral clarity and be an honest broker and have lead that change in ethics that America needs right now more than ever. Right. So I think that answers your question as best I can.
It does. Thank you so much for that, and appreciate you stepping into the game. Now, we like to do a little icebreaker around here, and
Okay.
since you brought up the movie Bugs Life,
Yeah.
I'm hoping this is not your answer, but give me your favorite animated movie.
Oh man, my favorite animated movie. Animated movie. I'm trying to think. The only one I can think of right now. Well, I'm a big Star Wars fan. There's a Clone Wars series, but it's not a movie, so I don't know if that counts. But there's a Clone Wars series that's animated, and I really like that show.
Okay, mine would be is it Inside Out? Did I say that right? Where it's the sad and the joy and
Yeah.
Inside
yeah,
Out, yeah.
I'm like drawing a blank almost. All right. So again, if you're just coming in, we are talking to Mr. Brent Mulrooney, who is running for a state seat in the state of Maryland, District 31. And we're going to get right into the questions here. And Ms. Bless is going to start us off with economic development.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brent, for being here. So we know several shopping centers and commercial corridors in District 31 have empty storefronts or are struggling small businesses. What specific steps would you take as state senator to help attract new businesses and support locally owned small businesses in the area?
Well, first of all, I think one of the biggest things is just costs in general. And it's kind of highlighted, actually, one of my biggest things I want to fix. It's not just for small businesses, but the electricity costs. And this kind of plays into that, right? Where electricity costs are extraordinary here in Maryland. Miss Melanie is probably well aware of that. And actually, so is you, Miss Blessings. But I think that's one step. Also, I think really just enticing investment, right? And the way to do that is to show that that area is safety. And realistically, also another major problem in that specific district that I know you're referring to, kind of in Pasadena, Glen Burnie area, is traffic, right? So a lot of people don't even want to leave their house. They're like, man, it takes me 30 minutes to go 2 miles. This is crazy, especially when you start talking about Mountain Road. So I don't necessarily have the answer to fix traffic right now. I don't want to like overpromise and underdeliver, but like I do know that's something that we at the state level need to work on for investment to try and just ease up that traffic problem a little bit. That will then lead to hopefully people going out more, spending their money more on local businesses, and that could help the businesses as well. And then also, recently there was some taxation ads for small businesses, things like a tech tax, that I think maybe we need to look at and possibly repeal, depending on conversations that we definitely need to have at the highest level of our state.
Okay, thank you. I do want to let the chat know that if you have any questions for Mr. Brent, you are free to put them in the chat or request up to ask your questions. If you put them in the chat, we will read them and get them answered for you. So my next question is, many residents commute outside the district for work because higher paying jobs are limited locally. What strategies would you support to bring more quality, well-paying jobs into District 31 so residents can work closer to home?
It's interesting you say that. I think it's also worth noting that, some of our local, fire department, police department officials, they actually live outside the district because they can't afford to live in Anne Arundel County at all. So they're commuting too, and that's a problem. So, and I will answer your question, but I just wanted to highlight there's more than just problems of people working outside of the district that live here, but also people that live outside the district that work here because they can't afford it. But with that said, I think obviously trying to entice investment, and in my district, maybe not specifically, but like maybe in Baltimore, right, where there's a large area inside Baltimore that's just like not being used. And so, yes, getting some investment in our district, it's pretty tight as it is. I'm going to be completely honest with you. As I mentioned earlier with traffic, and there's a lot of houses and there's really not much space because we definitely, we need to get good businesses. And I think near the ports would probably be a stronger place to get, high paying jobs, maybe a factory built there. Cause there is a place that's available, just completely open. We just need a big company to come in and invest and maybe build something there that can provide those jobs you're referring to. Now, with that said, also, again, this kind of goes back to your first question, where like getting small businesses, maybe use some of the storefronts, enable people, maybe create some loan program, not necessarily a loan forgiveness program, but a loan program where maybe more people can get accepted for loans based on their business ideas. So to start filling up those storefronts that are vacant, right? And so things like that. There's a lot of things that can be done at the state level to improve District 31 and just improve our state in general.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to pass it to Melanie for our next topic.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next topic is going to be on healthcare. Many families struggle with high insurance costs, deductibles, out-of-pocket expenses, even when they are insured. What solutions would you support to make healthcare more affordable for women and families in your district?
Yeah, so I'm going to be completely honest. I'm a big advocate for some sort of single payer system that's ran by the state to bring those costs down, or alternatively, just some sort of socialized medicine ran by preferably the federal government, because I don't think, honestly, again, trying to be as honest as possible, the state has the funds to necessarily do that for everyone. Now, with that said, there is an idea here in our state. I've talked to a couple of representatives where we can maybe create a system funded completely by the state, where we are kind of phasing in a socialized medicine program, starting with our children, right, or 18 and under. Because what I don't want to see is someone going bankrupt because their kid got maybe they broke their leg skateboarding or something. That's unacceptable, right? So a socialized medicine program within our state for our children, I think we can afford that here in the state of Maryland, and I think that's something that can be acted upon. And I think that's a first step. Again, I would prefer a full socialized program, but I also recognize there are budget constraints. We don't have infinite dollars here in Maryland, just like unlike the federal government.
Understood. Now, we know that Maryland has made progress, but maternal health outcomes, especially for high-risk pregnancies, remain a concern. How would you work to improve maternal health care, prenatal care, and postpartum support for women in District 31?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm not well versed in this particular topic. In this case, I would definitely defer to the other elected officials and give me the advice that I need to make the right decision. So I don't actually have an answer for that particular problem, but I'm definitely open-minded to listening to solutions. So if you have a solution, I'll listen to you or really anyone to try to fix the problem that you're referencing.
Yes. Well, like I said, a lot of times when people talk about maternal care, they pretty much just mention the pregnancy itself, which is prenatal, and then the labor portion, right? They don't talk much about the postpartum. So I think that there should be some sort of policies or funding put forth to help to maybe set a woman up with a counselor upon leaving that she will be able to speak to if necessary, because I want to say a good 80% of women deal with postpartum, if not more. But it gets brushed under the rug. Oh, you're just feeling a certain way, whatever. And if they really had someone to talk to that could tell them what they're feeling is normal, it may help some women get through that a little easier. So I definitely would suggest that.
Yeah, that sounds great. I feel like we can definitely pass a law that mandates insurance companies to cover those things. To start off, until we are able to have a full socialized medicine program, and then just have a law that says, hey, we're going to pay for it. Right. I think those are good ideas, and I completely agree with you. If those are definitely issues that people are having. I hate to see especially our mothers going through the hardest thing in the world, I would say, right? Going through a pregnancy and then afterwards, feeling depressed or whatever, because, again, I'm a guy, I'm not familiar with it. So that's why I said I would defer mostly to other elected officials or other people in general. But yeah, I think passing a law to just mandate insurance coverage, and then also we can do basically an information campaign to ensure people that they're aware that they can get this through their insurance company.
All right. Now I do see I saw other questions in here, and we will definitely get to those questions when we get to our
Public
what is
safety.
it called? Public safety. Thank you.
Yeah,
When we get to the
public
public
safety.
safety area. But I did see a question concerning this here, which is, can we mandate penalizing insurance companies for improper coding?
I think that's a possibility. Yeah, I mean that sounds doable. I'm not super familiar with that particular situation, but I would definitely have to look things up and consult more and figure out the best way to go about that. But yeah, I mean, if people are breaking the law, right? I think that's easy to go out there and say, hey, you're breaking the law, and we're gonna penalize you, because we have to create the law first.
All right. Someone said men and husbands need to listen to and support their wives and girlfriends. Agreed.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had a question. So you were talking about bringing in more corporate spend into your county, or even just in Baltimore in general. But part of the reason that companies don't come to these areas is because the population either isn't trained or isn't educated enough to like take on these positions, right? They're moving to places where they feel like they can get people to be hired there who have the right background. So do you have any plans on or any thoughts or concepts around how to, help people who are in an area which has obviously been economically devastated for a long time, to help improve educational outcomes, or certification programs or vocational programs, so that these companies have an incentive to come over and invest?
Yeah, I mean, I think first off, I'm a Mensa member, right? So if you guys aren't aware of that, is basically we believe in education to our heart's content. And I strongly believe that we need to fund our education the best possible, starting with our elementary, and then moving into our high school and our state, and then even supporting our students that get to choose to go to college or go through vocational schools. So I do want to stay there, say that first. But also, to answer your question a little bit more specifically, I don't have a plan per se as of right now. Again, I decided to start running 3 months ago, basically. But with that said, I can say this. I think that supporting our education, and really maybe even changing the curriculum a little bit at the high school level specifically, to ensure that people are set up for the future. So I think that's a starting step, is look at our high school programs, and maybe some things can be cut so we can add new things, right? So maybe we don't need, I don't know exactly, but actually I'd say we need almost everything. I prefer people learn as much as possible, but I think maybe leveraging the ability to teach people to leverage AI properly versus how we see it now. We see people just using it as Google, essentially. And that's not really the ideal way to use it. I mean, it's a way to use it, but you can use AI in other ways. Or also, as you kind of mentioned with vocational schools, teach people, woodworking, right? Or welding or whatever, right? Some skills, or HVAC repair. Have that be a class in our high schools, and that could set people up for those vocational schools if they desire, if they liked that course in high school.
What about adult retraining programs? Because a lot of the devastation, at least I know in Baltimore, was from industries kind of leaving. Do you think that there's room in your district or beyond to have adult retraining or certificate programs for what you're saying, right? People could be trained on how to leverage AI and then be hired, because companies now see that there's a program in Maryland that is retraining adults to be good at doing this thing, and attracting companies that way. Is that something that you see as valuable for your state?
Yeah, I mean, adult retraining programs are definitely always going to be valuable. And and it can definitely be, at the very least, partially subsidized by the state too, or even the county, right? Maybe it's going to have to be conversations depending on funding, because funding is always going to be a question, right? And again, I'm trying to be as open and honest as possible. I'd definitely be an advocate for it, and there's definitely space for it. We have a mall here that's basically gone. Kind of mentioned earlier, right? There's a lot of storefronts that are empty, and there's a mall specifically that basically is a ghost town mall minus like a movie theater that still exists there. So we have the space, right? The question is the funding, and I would definitely be an advocate to develop programs that fit those needs.
Well, Miss Horrific, thank you. Like you're getting ahead of us, baby. Our next subject was about education. So we got questions. I promise you, we got questions for him about education. So you may get some of your answers in our questions, dear.
All right, awesome. Thank you for letting me up. And Brent, please drop your Act Blue thing in the chat so that we can donate to your campaign. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Brent, you didn't brought your crew with you. I see. I'm not mad at you, boo. Y'all just make sure y'all follow OVC and come support these other candidates too, okay? Because we need change throughout the government, okay? So y'all make sure y'all follow our vote counts, please, please, please. Blessings, I know I'm sending this back to you, but I actually had a quick question in this, or some information in this area. Now, Brent's opponent, the incumbent, right? Are you familiar with the blueprint, Brent?
I'm not now.
Okay, so the blueprint is a law that they passed in, I believe it was 2017. No, it was 2023. And it is a 10-year plan that aims to implement education reform, which includes universal preschool, increase funding for teachers and schools in high poverty areas, increase the pay and opportunities for the teachers, and career pathways for high schoolers. It increases the state funding by $3.8 billion each year until 2032. That is already in the books. Okay, it's called the blueprint.
Yeah,
your opponent has fought to repeal it.
Of course he has. Of course he has. Fortunately, Republicans and MAGA don't have much control in Maryland, so we do have that going for us here. But yeah, of course, same thing the administration's doing, right? We're going to get rid of the Department of Education. It's abhorrent. It's absolutely abhorrent. The fact that they don't want people in America to become more educated is a wild thought process. That, to me, that's anti-American. But
yes. So I'm just giving you that little tidbit to put in your back pocket. Look up the blueprint, and when you if you happen to have to debate him, ask him why would he like to repeal that? What part of this plan, this 10-year plan, does he not think is a good thing?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't think he has a real answer. He's gonna say something dumb like, "Oh, we can't afford it, so let's put that at the back of the bus." It's like, bro, what are you talking about?
True. With blessings.
Okay, so the guest kind of already took us into public education. We do have another question in the chat about public education, so I'll ask that first and then ask our set of questions. They want to know, what is your stance on parental rights in the local school curriculum?
So parental rights, that sounds interesting. Man, that is a tough question. And the reason I say that is because sometimes, it depends on what they mean by that. Do I think a parent can be like, you know what, my kid's not learning math or English? No, absolutely not. You don't get that choice. I'm sorry. But if they're parental right, they mean, hey, my kid isn't going to take an art class, okay, fine. If they can learn to take another class or whatever. I don't really know what they mean by that unless they're referring to so what can you explain? I guess, what does that question mean? Can you elaborate on that question?
The person in the chat maybe can elaborate on the question somebody just asked in the chat. If they want to elaborate or come up, they can. So I will ask the next question, and then if they add some more in the comments, then we can jump back to that.
Okay.
Yes. And as what part of the state is District 31? It is the Anne Arundel area.
Yeah.
The northern and Anne Arundel.
Yeah, it's like Glen Burnie, Millersville, Pasadena, Severn. Yeah.
All right. So teachers in District 31 are stretched thin with large class sizes and limited classroom resources. What steps would you take at the state level to better support teachers and improve learning conditions in our public schools?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm well aware. One of my best friends, actually, his wife's a teacher, and not just a teacher. She teaches what is it called? I'm blanking, but she teaches in high school with the kids with disabilities, right? The disability courses, and so they have a tough time. All the teachers have a tough time, and the biggest reason I would say is because they don't have the funding to have the amount of teachers that's really required. So we definitely need to increase funding, which according to Melanie, they're working on it over time, and so things do take time. But yeah, I would definitely ensure that they get those funding and not try to appeal it or repeal it. Because again, our education, it's our future, right? I want America, I want the country, I want the world to be here for my grandkids, right? So, and we definitely need to have good education, because if we don't, we're going to turn into idiocracy. No one wants that, I hope. So yeah, definitely. I think the biggest thing is just funding and possibly, building more schools, working with the county, ensuring that the parents are getting the things that they need for their students, and the county's getting the funding that they need for their students. And that's, I think all counties across the board need more funding. It's not just one county or another. I would say all the schools need more funding, or maybe build more schools if they're overcrowded, and then get more teachers to teach these kids.
Okay, thank you for that. I do see we have one person in the queue. I will ask one more question, and then I will Melanie can bring them up. So parents want students to Parents want students to graduate, prepare for college, careers, or skilled trades, not standardized tests. What changes or investments would you support in strengthening career or technical education, internships, and job paths in the schools?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm definitely an advocate for after school programs as well. So then I think those are kind of things that will definitely help students thrive in life. Things like robotics classes or computer coding after school programs. Things that can actually help our students be successful in today's society. Because realistically, we're in a digital world at this point. And so working on either the curriculum in high school or promoting after school programs. And when I say promoting, I mean funding, subsidizing after school programs to ensure that there's access to as many people as possible, not just access to the people who can afford it. But with that said, also, like I said, looking at their curriculum, I kind of mentioned this earlier, looking at the curriculum and seeing where we can add in some courses to ensure our students are prepared for today's workforce, not the workforce of 30 years ago.
Right.
Absolutely. We do have a couple of questions in the chat, but we also have someone up on the panel. So JD, welcome to the panel. You may go ahead and ask Brent your question.
Good evening, Brent. It's nice to meet you for the second time tonight. One of the things that you guys were discussing was with regards to the blueprint for Maryland's future, as well as the Kerwin recommendations. One of the questions I had that you briefly touched on would be, how do you plan to work with your legislative body within your district to attract and maintain a highly competitive and mostly top talent force?
Yeah, I mean, this all kind of goes back to ensuring that we have the proper education here, and we have we can work with industry as well, or work with government agencies to ensure that our students have almost a pathway to success. We're actually kind of in a unique situation here in Maryland, and specifically the district I'm in. We have some very big, very technical, very skilled labor force here, whether that's government workforce working at DISA, defense, what is it? Some defense internet security agency, basically to secure networks for the DoD, or we have Lockheed Martin has like a an engine building facility here in Maryland, and ensuring that we work with them and determine, hey, what do your people need in order to be successful here? Obviously, some of the higher end jobs at those places might need or will need college education, but we can get them on the right path to be successful in those jobs here locally, but also be successful across the country as well. I don't want people to just live in one spot their whole life too. I think it's actually healthy to move around as well if they choose to do that, right? But overall, to answer your question, I think it's very important to focus on education, but also, again, kind of the same answer I had before, but modernize the training and modernize the education so they are successful.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you very much. That was my question.
All right. Thank you so much, JD. Let me clarify, I guess what Ms. Ann is trying to say. And I just want to say that I think that a lot of times people get misconstrued to think that, and I'm just speaking from my experience, that Democrats just want kids reading anything. That's not true. So her question basically was asking, do you support parents having more involvement in what their children's curriculum is in school?
It sounds like you're referring to specifically either elementary or middle school or possibly English in high school. Obviously I think that the parents and PTAs of the schools, I don't want to sit here and govern with an iron fist and be like, no, everyone's going to do the same thing, because that's crazy. People have different needs. People have different requirements, right? So it's important to see those requirements and do what's needed for them. So with that said, I think it's completely okay for the PTA of a particular school, or possibly even the county school board, to be able to work with the parents and to create a specific reading list, if you will, that's suitable for the kids in that area.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Did you see the other question, Blessa?
Yes. So the other question was, how would you incorporate learning resources for kids with disabilities if not provided in schools?
Well, first of all, again, I think they should be provided in schools. I think that our schools need to definitely provide and create an environment that's accessible for everyone, and everyone's able to learn. And if that means more teachers, again, kind of as previously stated, we should definitely fund our schools to ensure they have more teachers to be able to teach those kids and protect those kids from the other, from not being left behind. So I think they should be accessible in school, not necessarily creating programs outside of school. If you're wanting to create a program that protect or enables them to be successful outside of public education, but it is related to education, I'm not a huge advocate for private education and subsidizing private education with state dollars. I'm going to be completely honest with you. The reason for that, because what ends up happening is only the rich people are able to take advantage of that, or you end up losing funding for public education. So you create a problem there. Now, if you're, I just think we just definitely need to fund our public education so those kids are able to go attend, whether that's via school bus, and make sure that bus is available for them, and then also that the learning environment's acceptable for those students as well.
Okay. Thank you for that. If anybody has any more questions, continue to put them in the chat, or again, you can request up. So we're going to go into what we like to call rapid fire. These are just quick yes or no answers and questions. So term limits, yes or no?
Yes.
Would you compromise or stay firm?
For term limits?
No, in general, when you're proposing a bill.
I'll compromise at times and stay firm at times. I think that's tough to say. Yes, it depends on the bill, right?
Okay. Social media and politics, helpful or harmful?
Overall, I think it's super helpful. I think it gets more people involved in politics. Now there are some harm where people are, spreading misinformation, but overall, I think it's creating a larger net for people to get involved.
More important, the economy or the environment?
Whew. Picking one of those. I feel like I'm trying to get canceled over here. I think both are important. I would definitely lean towards the environment, but obviously, we definitely need a good economy as well. So that's complicated, but I would definitely lean towards the environment.
Okay, last one. Lower or raise taxes?
For again, I'm getting tricked here. So I look. I think obviously we want to lower taxes for everyone, but we also need funding for things, right? Like we want to create a situation where people are paying as little as possible, but things are also funded. I think everyone can agree on that. The question is, how do we get there? And I know this was supposed to be a quick fire thing, but
No, it's fine.
So how do we get there, right? I think the people that are I don't say taking advantage, but are creating the most success for themselves ought to be paying their fair share, right? So I don't think we have to necessarily increase taxes for anyone. We just have to make sure people are paying their taxes.
Great.
Looks like we have another person that wants to come up and ask a question. Welcome to the panel. You may go ahead and ask your question.
Hi there. Thank you so much. Brent, I'm a Maryland native. I live in Frederick now, but I grew up in Towson. I have family in Baltimore, Anne Arundel, and PG County.
Nice.
My primary concern is with public transit. As I'm sure we both know, public transit was a big project that was put forth that, in the context of Baltimore and Anne Arundel County more broadly, was kind of gutted under Governor Hogan. He vetoed the red line in favor of the purple line and in favor of transit for his more red-leaning constituents. But I think that revitalizing Baltimore is really important. I'm curious about your views on public transit, on the red line as an idea, or what your views are on public transit and its importance in Baltimore and Anne Arundel County in particular.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think public transit is super important because it does a couple things. It reduces traffic, reduces emissions, right? And then also, provides cheap transportation. So it does three things that are all positive benefits. We do have some of these programs here in Anne Arundel County. The county exec expanded the bus in Anne Arundel County. Granted, I recognize it really only is for the Annapolis area, but they're working on a plan to expand it here in Anne Arundel County. As far as regarding your question specifically about the train system or the metro system into Baltimore, it was gutted, and that was one of the biggest reasons why when Wes Moore took over, there was a deficit because he actually did reinvest into those public transportation. And for example, for me, I'll head over to Glen Burnie and take the tram into Baltimore if I go watch a Ravens game or something, or if I just want to go downtown. That is the transportation I take. So it still exists, but I definitely think we need to ensure that it does continue to exist in the future.
I think those are good answers. I was more curious about how you view the idea of expanding public transit, what your vision of it is.
Yeah, I mean, I would like it to be accessible for as many people as possible for their needs. And like I said, the bus system we're currently expanding here in Anne Arundel County, and I'm an advocate for that. I definitely wouldn't stop it, right? If anything, I would want it to be expanded to Pasadena because right now it's not. And there are some people in Pasadena who need that public transportation to go buy groceries and stuff, especially with rising costs and everything, right? So creating a situation where people are able to leverage public transportation for their needs, yeah, absolutely, I'm an advocate for it.
Well, thank you, Grumble, for coming up and with your question. If you have any more, please drop them in the chat or request back up.
Yeah, thank you so much for facilitating this. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Grumble.
I too am wishing we extend out to Northern Maryland, because when I look for jobs, they're out that way, and it's if you don't have a car, you can't get there. There's no getting there. Like it's going to take you 2-3 hours to get there. I mean, there is some connecting things happening, but like I said, it takes 2-3 hours to get out there, and it's just like, oh, come on. The good paying jobs in Glen Burnie, daggone it, what?
I agree. I lived in Lanham. I was working at the mall in Annapolis and was going to school in Townsend. So
yes.
all over Maryland.
See what I mean? People are coming to Anne Arundel County to come to work. That's why I was like, I mean, people live outside the county to come to work in Anne Arundel. It's crazy. So
yes. Just really quickly, what Miss Anna was speaking about, there was one case in Montgomery County where some parents decided to sue the school and the school district because they were not given the option for the book that their child read.
interesting.
So, and like I said, I totally hear her.
What level was this, if I may ask?
This was elementary school.
Okay.
Yes. And I guess she's asking, would you push for some sort of legislation that makes sure that parents have are aware of what materials or books that their children, and like I said, this was one school in the whole state of Maryland. So I know Maryland itself is very good at making sure that their parents are involved in their children's curriculum and education. So this may have been a fumble on this school, and it was handled in court. So.
And possibly a fumble with like the county school board as well, right? So
correct.
Presumably that it got brought up there first, and they did nothing. And there's like, oh, let our teachers teach, leave them alone. But like that's not necessarily the right answer. And I think having discussions, especially at that level, again, I think I definitely believe in like states' rights, right? Even though generally that's like a Republican talking point, but like in this case, things need to get handled at the lowest level. Like not everything needs to be legislated at the federal government level. In this case, I think legislation at the county level, and don't get me wrong, if the county's doing things that are wrong and the state needs to step in, by all means, we can do that. But I think that's a county school board and county issue, to be completely honest.
Great. All right. Well, we're going to roll this right on along. You ready? Okay. And we're going to talk about public safety. Now, there was someone in the chat who I think my moderator said that he was a troll, so he got him up out of here. But he did have a fair question. Yeah. He asked, "What will you do about the rising crime in Glen Burnie?" So our next topic is about public safety and immigration. Residents in parts of District 31 are concerned about property crime and response times, while also wanting positive relationships between the police and the community. What specific steps would you support to improve public safety while building trust between law enforcement and the residents?
Yeah, so I'm going to answer this, and like you might think of it as like a weird answer, but realistically, crime it's not because there's bad people, it's because they're desperate most of the time, right? So I think the best way to address crime is just to create an environment where people can thrive. So what does that mean exactly? It means subsidize, like creating healthcare, like free healthcare, making sure people can live, or food programs if necessary, like SNAP or WIC, right? Ensuring people can survive and feel happy and be successful, versus like, hey, we need more cops. Let's drive this. We're going to get them. No, that's not the answer. There's always an underlying cause. And I think we just need to address those first. And then, maybe there are a couple bad apples here and there. And so, yes, I absolutely support cops as long as they're doing what's right. Right. And so what does that mean? It means, funding training for our cops and ensuring that they're trained properly when interacting with society. And if we have, especially during the training process, if we realize, hey, this guy is not cutting it, right? Don't let him be a cop, right? So I think we definitely need to ensure that our cops are out there are trained properly and funding the cops in that way, and training and interaction and psychology, things like that, versus just, hey, be the strong man out there, go get them. No, that is not the answer. But so those are I guess that's my overall answer. Address the underlying causes and fund cops and for their training programs and ensure we have the best cops out there that are supporting our citizens.
Now, do you have a take on what the underlying cause is, or is there something you plan on looking more into once you're in that position?
Well, I mean, in Glen Burnie, there is definitely some poor areas. I'm not going to lie, right?
Mm-hmm.
There, and even in Pasadena, there's definitely some poor areas, and I think it's just they just don't have stuff to do. So I think maybe create civic centers, like develop, get some funding out there to give them something to do that's either cheap, very cheap, or free even, because it's ran by the county or the state. And that's going to be working with our county to get those civic centers funded.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think those are the types of underlying causes versus just like, I don't think a 12-year-old is taught to be bad. I think at that age, you can definitely still teach them, hey, here's how society ought to work, and like work with them with, civic leaders, local leaders in their community, but also provide opportunities for them to stay busy,
Right. I mean, but also, how do we work on making sure that children do not feel the need to come to a school with a semi-automatic and unalive everyone? Because you can't say that word.
Yeah.
So, yeah. How do we address that?
Again, I think that comes from like a situation that they're in, right? So again, if they have things to do and have like a community program where they're able to be together and promote what you and I believe to be like a good society, and also make sure that they have food so that their parents aren't overly stressed about like, hey, I don't know if I have food for my kid, right? And things like that. I think those really are the key underlying issues because you don't see, like, for example, let's look at Massachusetts, right? You don't really see this problem up in Massachusetts because they have higher taxes. Look, yes, they have higher taxes, but they also fund social programs. They fund their civic communities. They fund their schools. They make sure people can have food. Like, I think they're a good example of what we ought to do, right? I mean, for example, they're the reason the ACA exists. It was a model that they created in Massachusetts because they were like, yo, we need some good healthcare here, guys. Like, what are we doing?
Is that what they do in Massachusetts, Blessed?
Yes, they do fund. I moved from the DMV to Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
So it's so funny that you picked that state. I was like,
well, they're like a model state, I think, for like a lot of things.
Yeah.
So.
That would probably be why she moved there. Okay. Well, as I'm getting news in the chat right now that another incident has happened in Minnesota, some residents worry that immigration enforcement can make people hesitant to report crimes or cooperate with police. How would you balance public safety with ensuring that everyone in District 21 feels safe reporting crimes and seeking help regardless of their immigration status?
Well, I mean, I'm going to go kind of what Westmore and our county exec kind of have been advocate for. Just, hey, the local police are not ICE, and we want to be very clear, they are not the same person, right? Our local police have been, or at least our sheriff here in Anne Arundel County has also come out and been like, hey, we're here to protect you guys if ICE is having a problem. Like, we're not going to come and like support ICE in their operation in any way, shape, or form. Because of what we see, right? Their tactics, they're just throwing citizens outside their car because they're filming them, things like that, or God forbid, Renee Good, right? Like, yeah, it's unacceptable, completely unacceptable what ICE is doing and how they're going about it.
Absolutely, 100%.
We just need to continue to spread the word that, hey, we here in Maryland, our police force here in Maryland, is not ICE, and we're here to support the citizens of Maryland.
Okay. Hopefully by the time you get in office that this will no longer be an issue. However, if it is, would you support policy, if given, that would arrest ICE if they have broken the law?
Absolutely. No one's above the law. Not a single person's above the law. For that matter, like, I think even elected officials are not above the law. Every single person should abide by the law, regardless of that law. Like, there's no reason rules for thee and not for me should ever be a thing. Hard stop. Rules for thee and not for me is not okay. And that's what it looks like right now, and it's just not acceptable. Right?
Yeah, agreed. Okay, we're going to try to lighten this up a little bit. You know, she did a rapid fire with some political questions. I'm going to do a rapid fire with some fun questions. Okay. What is your favorite place to get a crab cake?
Crab cake. I don't know the name of it. I've only been to it twice, but there's a place in Annapolis that's it's pretty good. I wish I could actually. Let me see if I can look it up.
This supposed to be rapid fire. He looking up answers.
I'm sorry. I just forgot the name of the place.
We just have to let them know that Maryland has the best crab cake. So
exactly, we have to let them know.
That is true.
Are you born and raised in Maryland?
No, I grew up in. So yeah, I guess my history is I grew up in Southern California, coastal Southern California, and then I joined the military, and I kind of moved around a bit. I lived most of my years actually as an adult down in Georgia.
Okay.
And I moved up here about 2 years ago. A little over 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then you don't know the real history of the crab cake.
I don't, but I'm learning.
All right. Well, you learn. Yeah.
That.
Just know you can't get a better one nowhere else. Just know that. Okay. As you're looking that up, I'm going to ask, have you ever won big at Maryland Live?
I'm not a huge gambler. I did go there recently because my brother came to town. He's like, "Hey, we got to go to gamble." I'm like, "All right, fine, I'll come with you." I won like $100. I didn't.
Did you have a good time though?
Yeah.
I mean, just hanging out with your brother.
Yeah. He was having a great time. I can tell you that though. He was living his best life.
Have you ever gone crabbing?
I've not. No.
No. Okay. Well, it's something to go do it. As a kid at camp, we had to go crabbing, so learned how to do that as a young child. Now, I was going to ask you this question, but since you're not from the Maryland area, you would not know whether or not Anne Arundel is part of the DMV.
I mean, I think it is.
Try again.
It's not. Maybe. I don't know. I feel like it's part of the M in that word. I don't.
Not all the M and not all the V is part of the DMV, sir.
I got a DC enough. I feel like it is.
Something else you're gonna have to learn, okay?
Correct. Somebody in the chat said Metro doesn't touch it.
Right. I'm about to say until you get that Metro there, then we might include you.
Hey, we got Odenton train station. Takes me right to Union Station.
Yeah. Time machine or magic wand?
Time machine.
Okay. A horror or a comedy?
Comedy. That's easy.
Okay. USB backup or cloud storage?
Depends. I would say for me, if it's like business related, cloud. But if it's like personal, I like USB for security reasons.
Okay. Facebook or TikTok?
I spend way more time on TikTok, so I guess TikTok.
Okay. Last question. How many members is in the General Assembly of Maryland?
47 times 3. No, well, 47 times 4, I guess. So what is that number?
You cannot look it up. How many members is in the General Assembly of Maryland?
47 times 4, 188. There's 47 districts. There's 4 people in each district. That's all I know.
Okay. Oh, that's what you was calculating.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, he is correct. It is 188. There are 47 Senate and 141 delegates. Yeah. That's technically our House of Representatives. So He got that right, y'all. He got an A on the test. All right. So Miss Blessings is gonna go with her last topic of the night, which is environment and infrastructure.
All right. So, parts of District 31 experience localized flooding after heavy rain affecting houses, roads, and small businesses. What solutions would you support to improve storm water management and reduce flooding in the community?
I guess first of all is identify the places that are having problems, and then work with either the state or county area, and just work on how to figure out the problem, root cause problems first of all, because I think that's important. And when you don't just say, "Hey, I'm going to do this thing," what is the particular cause for each of the particular locations? Because sometimes it may be like there is a drain there, it's just clogged, and we need to clean it out and do some trash pickup. Right, that it might be as simple as that, or maybe, hey, we need to actually build some more drainage for those stormwater. So depends on what the problem is, but we need to identify the problem first.
Okay, thank you. You kind of talked about this earlier, but residents regularly deal with congested roads, aging infrastructure, and safety concerns during their daily commutes. How would you prioritize road improvements and transportation funding to improve safety and reduce traffic in District 31?
Yeah, so I did kind of brush on it, so I'll be a little bit more specific. There's a lot of people that live over in like the Pasadena, Severna Park, Arnold area, and they have to go through this basically one road. And that's one of the biggest problems. And then there's a lot of businesses on that road. I don't know who did this city planning. There's like one road and there's tons of businesses. It causes a lot of traffic. And so it's extremely frustrating for all the people in District 31 that live over there, that want to go anywhere, essentially. So I think realistically, the biggest solution would be to create a second thoroughfare, a primary thoroughfare that allows traffic to have multiple ways out of that area. And so that's going to definitely take some funding for sure. But I think there's one of my constituents actually I was having a conversation with, and I was like, look, I don't have a solution for you, but I recognize the problem. But he's like, well, guess what? I do. So I listened to him. And so he identified a specific road where we can build out basically a highway from, and then connect that highway to Highway 100, and then kind of just use that infrastructure to allow for that second thoroughfare. And I was like, that's a good idea.
It is.
So.
Somebody said roundabouts. We don't need no more daggone roundabouts. Okay? I'm sick of them. Okay.
I'll ask one more question. As the district grows, residents worry about protecting green spaces and waterways while allowing reasonable development. How would you balance economic growth with environmental protections in the district?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I definitely want to highlight, so like our state forests, they definitely need to stay protected. Like Patapsco, I go there regularly with my dog, right? So we definitely need to continue to protect our state forests and also protect as much as we can for the environment, because that's what's going to help this world stay longer. We need to keep our trees in many cases, or just the vegetation in general. Now to answer your question, how do you balance that? I think we need to, like, I'm being completely honest, District 31 is pretty dense as it is, if you haven't been over here. So developing more is, look, I don't know where they're going to plan on develop more at this point. If anything, we have vacancies over in Marley Station Mall, and like if people want to develop, maybe we just develop that mall a little bit better or renew it, right? And use infrastructure that's already existing instead of trying to remove things from our environment. And there's opportunities there, not just Marley Station. There's a couple other opportunities where things can just be renovated and rebuilt up, where there's already infrastructure there for our businesses or for after school programs or for anything really. You just have to maybe retrofit some of those buildings to be suitable for whatever you need it for.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna pass it back to Melanie for our next topics. And if anybody again has questions or would like to request up, feel free. You're on mute, Melanie.
Yes, I was saying, just a lot of engagement in the audience. Jim said, I would watch the television show of Brent Brent and the Time Machine. Okay, so we got it.
So somebody had a unique question, not really, but they said, who is your political hero and why?
My political hero. In my lifetime, I would say I think Obama did the best job as far as presidents in my lifetime. Although it's an easy fight, I guess. But I would say in the past, we've had some pretty good presidents. But if we want to talk local officials, or I guess maybe a little bit further down, I think it's people even now, right? Someone like James Talarico. I think the way he uses his faith, he doesn't hide from it, despite being a Democrat. Not gonna say despite, but he is a Democrat, and he pushes forward hey, here's what I think Christianity is, and I respect that he brings that to the table. Or someone like Pete Buttigieg, where just kind of like Obama, is a great orator, right? I think having the ability to speak and be concise, but also provide the context needed for most people to understand what you're saying, I think that's a skill. And then as far as doing what's those people see, at least seemingly, do what's best for their communities. And I think that's what we really need here in our politics today. So.
All right. Well, my last topic is local issues and constituent focus, right? So, of course, as we're kind of talking about, residents sometimes feel it's hard to get timely responses and follow-throughs from their elected officials. How would you ensure your constituents of District 31 that you can be easily reached in your office, and you will get them the help that they need when they give you their concerns?
Yeah, obviously I'm gonna have a staff as well, and I think ensure that they get every issue to me, right? And I'm not gonna I'll blanket response for this problem. No, I want to answer the specific question from the specific person. I think it's unfair to constituents when you get a blanket response. And this is very common if you've ever written your congressman or senator at the federal level. You don't get a real response ever. Right. Almost never. And to me, that's offensive, right? So I don't want to do that. I definitely want to respond and act accordingly based on the constituents' needs. And just do it, one person at a time. Focus on each individual.
Okay. So we're going to focus on each individual. Have you ever reached out to a congressperson, whether it's state or federal?
Yeah, many times. When I was down in Georgia, I would reach out to my congressman there, and even most recently, I reached out to my congressman and my senators here in Maryland regarding the Genius Act.
The Genius Act?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. Basically, what it is, it allows banks to print cryptocurrency, essentially. Okay. And there's a little bit more to that, but that's essentially what it is. It basically increases fractional banking more so than it already is.
Oh, wow. Didn't know that.
Yeah, it's really dangerous for our economy.
Is that a state act?
No, Genius Act is a federal act.
It's a federal act.
Yeah, it got passed. I don't know the date exactly. I want to say April or May. I don't know.
I have to look into that, because I was definitely unaware of that. So thank you for that information. Access to libraries, parks, senior services, and youth programs play a big role in quality of life. As you was mentioning earlier, some of the things we can do to make sure people stay active and then they'll stay out of trouble, right?
Yeah.
How would you work to protect and strengthen these community services in your district?
Yeah, I think just create programs where we have some very nice fields in this district where people can go play soccer or baseball or something, and just create leagues where they have that opportunity. Or maybe they're not into sports, so again, a civic center where they can draw or be involved with some sort of art thing, or just opportunities that people might be interested in, and just create those opportunities for our constituents and lead those programs if necessary. If we can't get a community leader out there, then hey, I can be a community leader, a local community leader for one of these programs as well. So
you would maybe push put forth policy that give out grants to people willing to put those types of things together?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. Go ahead. You had something else?
I keep getting the question, do you think Maryland should have term limits in the chat, looks like?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate for term limits. We don't need someone to be sitting in a seat for 50 years, right? Because for a couple of reasons. Primarily, what happened 50 years ago is not necessarily what the community needs today, right? And it's difficult for people to adapt. So the best way to adapt is to get new people in. So yes, I'm an advocate for term limits. I mean, even though you guys asked the question earlier, I just wanted to address that.
Blessings, did we touch on easing cost of living pressures for families?
I don't. Maybe a little bit in economics, but not necessarily. I don't think so.
Okay. Do you have any plans for that? I mean, we know that housing costs are going up, utilities are going up, especially if they're about to put these data centers all over the place. A lot of people water bills and electric bills will go up, trying to support those things. What do you have any plans or ideas on how to lower housing costs? We know that Mandani had been elected recently, and one of his platforms was to stop the rent, or what do they call it? The rent,
a rent cap, rent freeze.
Rent cap. Anything like that you think that could benefit Maryland?
Well, you mentioned electricity costs, and realistically, I do want to highlight this real quick because I do have a plan to kind of work on that. Okay. And I want to highlight the root cause problem actually too, because I think it's important to understand. I've done a lot of research regarding this, and the root cause problem is, well, as mentioned before, it's data centers, AI centers, things like that are being built. But the thing is, it's not necessarily being built in our backyard, right? So there's something called the PJM interconnect, which is basically a network of the grid for the Northeast, right? It includes Virginia, Maryland, West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Jersey, right? And parts of like Indiana, parts of Kentucky, parts of Michigan, parts of, I think it's even a small part of Illinois, which is crazy. It goes that far. But essentially, what's happening is there's way more consumption than there has been, again, because these data centers. But I want to highlight Maryland specifically. We only produce about 40%, a little less than 40% of what we're consuming here in Maryland. That way, if we produce more here in Maryland, we don't have to reach out to that PJM interconnect and purchase out-of-state electricity. So that's what's driving the cost up here in Maryland specifically. So the best solution is to create more production opportunity here in Maryland. How do you do that? My plan is to work with the production companies, Constellation specifically, that's already running the nuclear power plant and a lot of the production here in Maryland, and just give them like 0% loans, essentially. We're not going to give them money, but hey, 0% loans. So it's a loan, you have to pay us back, but they can only use that to build up production, right?
Like zero interest.
Zero interest, yeah.
Okay.
0% interest, exactly. 0% interest loans. And preferably, actually, I would probably work with my federal officials of Maryland, like my congresswoman and my two senators, and try to advocate for this to be pushed across the country, and preferably federal loans. That way the state doesn't have to deal with it. The reason for that is because this is not just a Maryland problem. Yes, I think Maryland needs to use those and work with the local production companies to produce more here in Maryland. But again, this is a problem that's growing across the country. It even got brought up at CES. I think NVIDIA CEO, I forget his name right now, he brought up, he's like, we have an energy problem. Mm-hmm. We don't have our problem for the future it's not development of new capabilities. We're doing that trifold, tenfold. We have an energy problem. We have an energy revolution, essentially, that we're not on pace to keep up with. Mm-hmm. So that's where I think we can leverage the federal government to provide those 0% loans, or maybe even subsidize production plants across the country.
Absolutely. So I do have one more question, but I'm going to go ahead and get started with these questions in the chats because they are asking. Let me see. The first one was, do you think it's harder to serve or to lead?
I think leading definitely takes a specific type of person. And at this point in time, like I think running for office is way harder than I thought it was going to be. But hey, I'm here for the long haul, and I definitely want to do what I can to be a leader of integrity and show people, in my opinion, how everyone ought to act. Not just the constituents, not just our citizens, but especially our elected officials.
Yeah, elected officials should serve as, like, that's how they lead, by serving. Would you support a statewide economic bill of rights? Not sure what that means.
What does that mean exactly?
I'm not sure. Maybe someone can elaborate. How do you ensure you're truly representing your constituents' views and not just party lines?
Yeah, I think this kind of goes in what I said before. When my constituents reach out to me, look at their particular problem or what they're reaching out about, and really think about it and work with my team and work with other elected officials and determine, hey, how can we solve these problems? And that way, it's not just I'm not going to be like, oh, you got to put if you're a Democrat or Republican when you reach out to me. No, absolutely not. Right? I think that's step one, and then step two, obviously, I want to serve all Americans as an elected official, not just party lines. But how to do that again is, I think, reach out to everyone, create a community where you have outreach to your constituents in a more, informal way as well. Be available to everyone is also something I'm going to strive to do.
All right. Well, my last question before Ms. Blessings give us our closing questions. Currently, the incumbent of your district is a Republican. And has been there since, I think it said 2007, maybe?
Are you talking about Brian Simonaire?
Correct.
Yeah, so he's not running.
I thought I saw a campaign page for him.
He's no longer running for office. So, but the person I am running against that's taking his spot, he's been a delegate in my district for like 20 some years.
Okay. Well, even more still. Even more. He's a Republican also, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So my question to you though was, how do you win those voters? They seem to be stuck in a red mindset.
Yeah.
How do you win those voters?
Yeah, I think if you look at the voting record, what you'll notice is we have bad voter turnout, right? Okay. So what we need to do is get the word out that, hey, someone's here that wants to represent you. So I may not be able to get the far right wing voters. Look, I get it. That's fine. Despite being, they might lean towards me just because, I'm a service member, right? And I've spent my whole life defending this country, and that's something that they often respect. But with that said, I also understand that they're like, vote red no matter what, right? Like I'm voting, it could be like a felon or something. Like that's, I don't know, just ideas. But, I think it's important to just be myself, be honest, and try to get outreach to as many people as possible. And that outreach may be, through the mail, maybe preferably in person as much as I possibly can as I'm door knocking. But yeah, I just want to have an opportunity to talk to them, I think is step one.
Okay. That sounds like a plan. So thank you for answering all of my questions. Thank you for answering the chat's questions. Ms. Bless is going to lead us out with some questions that we're going to wrap this all up.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So we're going to just do a closing questions. So if elected, what will be your top priority in your first year, and how would residents of District 31 see or feel your impact in their daily lives?
Yeah, I think step one is going to work on the electricity costs. That is my top priority, hands down, because that just doesn't affect just me. It affects everyone, right? It affects everyone equally, and probably some people even more, because I keep my house pretty cold in the winter, and I still had a $420 electric bill. It's crazy out here. All right. It's unbelievable. So, and my neighbor, Republican, she had $1,000 electric bill last January. Absolutely insane. No, that's unacceptable. And so that's going to be my top priority, is fixing that problem. And hopefully I have other ideas while we're building those new plants too, to reduce costs for our current residents. Fun fact here in Maryland that you guys may not be aware of, the residents actually have the highest rate for electricity costs. It's a cheap, yeah. So it costs more for me to get electricity at my house than it costs for a business or a data center, or the whatever, which is weird, right? I think that's unacceptable. I think our citizens need to have some sort of leniency for people, especially with smaller homes. So what we can do is create like a tiered system where if you're a low electricity user, you have a lower rate until you get to that higher rate. It's like a graduated system. And then you start paying that new rate at that higher rate. Or once you start, you kind of get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So we implement something like that where while we're building these electricity plants and increasing our production to reduce energy costs by having more, we can also just kind of restructure the cost that allows direct impact immediately for our citizens here in Maryland, the whole state.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask one more question. Let's see. So, how would you measure your success as a state senator, and how can your constituents hold you accountable to the promises you've made?
My success is gonna be purely based on a couple of factors, right? At least from my point of view. Am I able to change people's ethics and viewpoints that are representing all of Maryland? Because I'm going to be up there and I'm going to make sure that even the Democrats and the Republicans alike are being honest to everyone. We're not going to be up there spouting BS and just trying to pass it off as truth. So step one is that I want all of our elected officials to be truthful and honest all the time. So if I'm able to accomplish that, great. Also, the second big thing, I guess, is if I'm able to get this legislation passed for this electricity cost, because I'm hoping if I'm able to flip this district, I don't want to say a lot of power, but like a lot of sway from other Democrats. Like, hey, this is what the people want. Because I know you've been here for 20 years, right? I get it. And you're in a blue area. Like you're here forever. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping if I'm able to move this district, like we're talking like 20 points, by the way, then I'm able to like.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. My battery's low. Get my policies pushed through. So specifically regarding electricity.
Okay, thank you. So Brent, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. I want to thank everybody in the chat for joining us tonight. So before we end, I just want to ask, what is your final message to your voters heading towards Election Day? And then how can people support you regarding your social media and your website and your ActBlue and things like that?
Yeah, I guess the biggest message is I'm going to ask people from across the country to look at when they go to vote. Like, first of all, everyone go vote. Let's get that message out. But also, when they do go vote, like, think about the person that you're voting for. Think about whether that person has integrity to support not just your district, but also the country, not just your state, but also the country, maybe not just the country, but your city, your county, across the board. Because this idea that you have some elected officials that, again, are not really supporting their people and not really being honest with their people, those people need to go, regardless of party. If people are actively lying to you, it's just not okay as an elected official, in my opinion. And then as far as my ActBlue, my website, you guys have right there. And you can, from there, you'll be able to, there's a donate button like across the board, and you should be able to click on that if you would like to donate to me. If you guys feel like I'm someone that you think can be successful in supporting Maryland, or just really the country, and be that leader and be that representative who embodies the ideals of what America should be, I should say. Because America,
Yeah. So I don't know if you can see in the comments, but Terry Jackson, who was on OVC the other day, is running for Congress in Maryland's 5th district.
Oh, okay.
So he said you two should talk. So if you haven't followed him, go on in over there and follow him so that so we can get this Maryland coalition going. Okay.
Sounds
All right.
cool.
Absolutely.
Look, I already knew you wasn't from Maryland because you did not say Maryland. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
No, I'm here. I chose this state, right? I didn't just grow up here, so I'm here for the long haul. I'm staying here for the rest of my life. At least I plan to, as of right now. So.
Oh, he said he has part of Anne Arundel. So yeah, that's great. All right.
Awesome, Terry. Yeah, I followed you, and we can message later. Thanks for reaching out.
Look at this. Our vote counts bringing candidates together. This is amazing.
What it's all about.
I know. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I want to invite you, Brent, and the audience to our next town hall, which will be happening tomorrow. We have what we call a double header. So we will have a town hall with Kai Creemore running for North Carolina U.S. House Representative District 5, and West Kirtle also running in North Carolina for U.S. House District 10. And then
North Carolina night tomorrow.
Yes. So if you're from North Carolina, make sure you come out tomorrow night. And then I also want to invite you to what we call a round table. It's basically a candidates round table where the panel is full of candidates and you guys discuss what's going on currently politically, all your ideas that you have going forward for your candidacy, and just discuss being a candidate overall. And we have those every other Sunday. So look out for email about that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I just want to say thank you again for putting this on. And I appreciate what you guys are doing and what you're trying to do to get people to go vote. Right. I think that's what we need first and foremost. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you again for coming. And before we end, I just want to remind everybody who we are. This is Our Vote Counts, also known as OVC, a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates like Brent of integrity, and ensure every voice is heard. Through action, outreach, accountability, and we are building a stronger democracy, one informed vote at a time. Join us. Your vote, your power. Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you. Good night, y'all.